Henry and the Buccaneer Bunnies by Carol Crimmy, illustrated by John Manders. A great story about reading and pirates. Cruising the seven seas on a crickety old ship called the Salty Carrot sailed a wild, rowdy band of buccaneer bunnies. They were bad, bad bunnies, all right. When pirates on other ships saw their floppy ears and their fluffy white tails, they shook with fear. The salty dog, Salty Carrot, the wild, wild ship, was very, very famous. The captain of the Salty Carrot was Barnacle Black Ear, the baddest bunny brute of all time. Black Ear was proud of his wooden paw, his golden earrings, and his mean reputation. What Black Ear was not proud of was his son Henry. Instead of performing his proper pirating duties, Henry was more interested in reading the books the buccaneers stole from all their ships. He always had his nose in a book. But Henry was always learning new things from all the stories and information books he read. "Shout, shiver my timbers," Black Ear ordered. "I'd rather finish this chapter," said Henry. He wasn't going to shout. "Make the prisoner walk the plank." "Oh, can't I just read about it?" asked Henry. "Find yourself a parrot for your shoulder." "Well, first I need to read up on parrot care," said Henry. "I found out that parrots are used to predict the weather for pirates, and that's why we have one." "Buccaneer bunnies don't need books," said Black Ear. "Toss them overboard," he yelled to the other bunnies. "No, wait," cried Henry. "Just let me finish them first." "Avast," said Black Ear. "Schwab the decks until ye come to your senses." So Henry had to clean the deck of the ship. So Henry swabbed the decks day after day while reading some of his favorite books like Rabbitson Crusoe and 30 Days to Longer Ears. "Bet you can't learn how to do this from a book," Jean Laterre said, while sharpening his hook. Henry sighed and turned the page. "Oh, you'll never find booty like this in a book," Calico Jack Rabbit told him, holding his stolen loot. Henry shrugged and just turned the page. "You can't do this with a book in your paw," Bartholomew Bunny said, while standing on his peg leg. He was sanding it down. Henry just turned another page. As much as he loved his books, Henry was a lonely Buccaneer bunny. A lonely bunny, if ever there was one. Then one morning he looked up at the red sky and wriggled his pink little nose. He heard the parrots squawk and saw fish jumping out of the waters. "Oh, if my books on meteorology are correct, those signs mean a big storm is heading this way," he thought. The fish and the parrots were all sensing a storm was in the air. Henry tried telling Jean Laterre about the upcoming storm. "Excuse me, but I believe a storm is coming," Henry said. But Jean was too busy polishing his pieces of 8, which are gold. "Go back to your books, Henry." He tried telling Calico Jack Rabbit. "I'm pretty sure a storm is on his way," Henry said. But Calico Jack was too busy admiring his tattoo of a cabbage. "Don't bother me now, Henry." You see, bunnies love cabbage. Finally, Henry cried, "Batten down the hatches! A huge storm is coming!" What do you know about storms? Black-Ear demanded. Get back to swabbing the deck before I make shark bait out of those books of yours. Henry did as he was told, but he kept his little pink eyes on the skies. When he saw the rats abandoning the ship, he started packing up his books in the empty treasure chest. Another sign. A storm was coming. All the animals were scared and sensed the storm. The storm started small, a few low grumbles of thunder, a spike of lightning, then suddenly a crashing, bashing, thrashing wildcat of a hurricane broke loose. It shook the ship. Suffering sea dogs! It mangled the masts. Look, they're all torn up. Great blimey bilges. The ship looks like it's ready to sink. It slashed the sails and damaged the deck and ripped up the rickety old salty carrot. All that was left, floating on the choppy waters, were a bunch of soggy bunnies and Henry's treasure chests filled with books. When the storm finally calmed down, Black-Ear, Henry, and the rest of the Buccaneers paddled to the nearest island. Oh, we're ruined, wailed Black-Ear. No ship, no pieces of 8, no gems. And he sat in the sand and blubbered, crying like a lily-livered landlubber. But Henry got to work. The first thing he did was build a 2-story hut out of palm fronds and coconuts. How'd you learn to do that? Asked Black-Ear. Well, I read it in 101 Things to Do with Palm Fronds and Coconuts, replied Henry. Of course, I learned it in a book. Next, he built a fire and cooked up a tasty seaweed stew. Blimey, said the hungry bunnies. Where'd you learn that? Well, I found the recipe in Quick and Easy Meals for Marooned Parents. Pirates, said Henry. A cookbook? Yep, that's what Hen had. Then he made them all fetching garments from the bits and pieces he had salvaged from the shipwreck. He sewed them clothes. We look like gentle bunnies, we do. What swank swashbucklers we are. Arr, and it's all from them land-lubbing books, said Black-Ear, shaking his head. Henry taught Black-Ear and the Buccaneer bunnies all kinds of useful things, like how to plant carrots from a gardening book, then how to make the best sand castles, and build boats out of palm fronds. And soon they built a new ship from the directions Henry had in the book. Well, which they sailed in that ship to the library at the nearby Easter Islands every summer. Get it? The Easter Islands with bunnies? Here the bunnies spent many happy hours slurping seaweed stew and reading books. Aye, Buccaneer bunnies, we'll always need books, said Black-Ear. Henry just smiled and turned the page. The pirates were now readers, thanks to Henry. The end.